Hey everyone, hello. So, today we're stepping into one of the most controversial and most misunderstood chapters in religious history, the deliberate demonization of pagan gods by early Christianity. This was not merely a clash of beliefs, it was a strategic, theological, cultural, and political transformation that reshaped the spiritual landscape of Europe and beyond. When Christianity expanded into pagan territories, it faced a problem. People already had gods. They already had rituals. They already had sacred land, ancestral spirits, seasonal festivals, and cosmologies deeply woven into daily life. So, rather than simply saying those gods don't exist, a more effective tactic was employed. Those gods exist, but they are demons. Early Christianity emerged from a strict monotheistic Jewish worldview, which taught that there is one true God. All other spiritual beings are either false idols or deceptive spirits. As Christianity spread into polytheistic cultures, Greek, Roman, Celtic, Germanic, Norse, it had to answer a dangerous question. If pagan gods don't exist, why do people experience them? The solution was theological reframing. Pagan gods were reclassified as fallen angels. Local spirits became demons. Ancestral gods became servants of Satan. And this allowed Christianity to explain visions, oracles, possession, miracles, dreams without validating pagan theology. One of the most powerful tools in this process was imagery. The Greek god Pan, associated with nature, sexual vitality, music, wilderness, and instinct, was visually transformed into the Christian devil. Key features absorbed into satanic imagery: goat horns, hooves, animal legs, wild eyes, and lustful expression. Pan represented untamed nature and bodily instinct, everything Christianity sought to control, suppress, or spiritualize. By turning Pan into Satan, Christianity symbolically declared nature itself is fallen. Instinct is sinful. The wild must be subdued. This imagery still defines how Satan is depicted today. And then Freya, the Norse god of love, fertility, sex, magic, and death and rebirth, was gradually reimaged as a seductress, a witch, a demonic temptress. Satyr magic, once sacred, became sorcery, punishable by death. This directly influenced later witchcraft persecutions, where female spiritual authority was demonized. Pagan priestesses were reframed as servants of the devil. And Odin's association with the dead, ecstatic knowledge, shape-shifting, and the wild hunt was recast as a demonic procession, later linked to hell, ghosts, and infernal forces. The wild hunt, a sacred myth explaining death, transition, and cosmic cycles, became a nightmarish omen of damnation. Early Christian writers leaned heavily on reinterpretations of Hebrew scripture. Key verses framed pagan gods as demons. Psalms 96:5. All the gods of the nations are demons. 1 Corinthians 10:20. What pagans sacrifice, they offer to demons. And Deuteronomy 32:17. They sacrificed to demons, not God. Church fathers like Augustine, Tertullian, and Origen argued that pagan gods were real spiritual beings, but evil ones, intentionally deceiving humanity. This framing justified destruction of temples, bans on rituals, forced conversion, and cultural erasure. Pagan religions often embraced sexuality as sacred, cycles of life and death, duality rather than absolute good or evil, and nature as divine. Christian doctrine reframed these as lust instead of fertility, death instead of transformation, chaos instead of balance, and nature instead of God. By redefining pagan values as immoral, Christianity positioned itself as the only path to order, purity, and salvation. But not everything was destroyed. Some pagan traditions were absorbed. Winter solstice, Christmas. Spring fertility festivals, Easter. Pagan saints, Christian saints, and sacred wells, holy water sites. But while the rituals survived, the gods were erased or demonized, and this allowed Christianity to maintain continuity for converts, control meaning and authority, and rewrite spiritual memory. In Northern Europe especially, sacred groves were burned, stones and idols smashed, pagan temples destroyed, and oral traditions outlawed. Charlemagne's campaigns against the Saxons included mass executions, forced baptisms, and death penalties for pagan worship. This was not just theology, it was spiritual colonization. The demonization of pagan gods shaped modern concepts of hell, witchcraft hysteria, fear of nature-based spirituality, suppression of indigenous traditions, association of the feminine with evil. Even today, remnants remain, horned gods still equated with Satan, pagan symbols labeled occult, indigenous spirituality dismissed as dangerous. Understanding this history doesn't require rejecting Christianity. It requires honesty about how power reshapes belief. The old gods were not defeated in battle, they were rebranded. And in many ways, they never truly disappeared. They went underground into folklore, fairy tales, myths, dreams, and the unconscious. As modern people revisit pagan traditions, we are not resurrecting demons. We are recovering suppressed spiritual languages. And that alone is a powerful act. So yeah, that's it for today's video. As always, I hope you found it entertaining, enlightening, or in some way beneficial. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share the video with a friend or two. All right, everyone, take care. Peace.